Welcome to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins sitting in for David Pakman today. And folks, we have so much to cover, I really ought to jump in. But just to let you know what we've got coming up on this week's show, Donald Trump has his feelings hurt by the cover of Time magazine. J.D. Vance throws his wife under the bus to save a Doge staffer for his racist posts on X. And of course, just non-stop chaos from the Doge office in general. Attorney General Pam Bondi decides that going after DEI is far better than doing anything to help consumers. And the leader that the Democrats absolutely need has finally emerged. All of that and so much more is coming up on today's show. So let's jump right into it. On Friday, Donald Trump announced that he is finally taking on the issue that propelled him to the White House, the single biggest issue on the minds of every single American voter, no doubt about it. So he's bringing back plastic straws, right? Because again, I'm sure that everybody watching this, when you went to the polls in November, you said, well, I mean, the economy's really not that great. It looks good on paper, but it's not working for me. I'm really concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. I'm concerned about Russia. I'm concerned about the environment here. I'm concerned about all these things, but none of those concerns were bigger than, of course, mushy paper straws. So on Friday, Donald Trump got on Truth Social and made this bold announcement. I will be signing an executive order next week ending the ridiculous Biden push for paper straws, which don't work. Back to plastic, he says. So there you have it. I mean, I guess all of our problems are solved in the United States of America today, right? I mean, you may not be able to afford beverages to put a straw in under Donald Trump's policies, but by God, if you ever get the chance to get a soda again, you can rest easy knowing that your straw will not get mushy because we are going back to plastic. Now, obviously, this was not an issue, I don't think you could find a single person in this country that cast their vote this past November based on plastic straws. I mean, I genuinely don't think you would find a single person who that was their biggest issue. I don't think you'd find a single person today that would say that, yes, the mushy paper straws are keeping me up at night. I have to talk to the kids at dinner and just say, I don't know about the future of our country because the mushy straws, right? No, nobody does that. This was not a thing that even needed to be done. And it's a distraction, as per usual. Because what happened on Friday at the same time that Donald Trump is out there telling us we're bringing back plastic? Well, one of the things that actually happened before Friday was the fact that we got new scientific reports out showing that the human brains that they have examined are showing about a spoon's worth of microplastics. So, what a great time to bring plastic back at the time when we're finding microplastics, a spoonful of them, in human brains. So, thank you for that, Donald. But the bigger thing, I mean, I don't know if it's bigger. I mean, obviously plastic in the brain seems kind of like a big issue, but if you're more financially minded, what also happened on Friday was that we got the January jobs report. So at the same time Donald Trump is talking about plastic straws, we're getting a report showing us that the economy only added 143,000 jobs in January, well below the expectation of 169,000 jobs. Now, here's the thing. I'll give you this. President Biden was president of the United States for, 19 and a half of those days of January. Donald Trump only had 11 and a half days where he got to be president. So, all right. This was mostly Biden, but some Trump. However, Biden's out of office. Everything that happens from the moment Donald Trump gets sworn in, that's on him. So job growth in this country is slowing. It did not meet expectations. In fact, according to analysts, this was actually the worst jobs report that we have gotten since COVID. That's how bad it was. And yes, as President of the United States, this is on Donald Trump. Because let's not forget what's been happening so far in the month of February. We have had federal workers leave. We have had layoffs. We have more layoffs coming. We have had the mass deportations kick into high gear. Thousands of people, working people, kicked out of this country. So I imagine that as bad as that January jobs report was, it's probably going to be the best one that we see for the next 4 years. Because as it stands right now, Donald Trump doesn't have any actual ideas on how to create new jobs in this country. He doesn't actually have any plans to bring manufacturing back to the United States. Think of this. When Donald Trump decided last week to go ahead and pause the tariffs on Canada and Mexico, tariffs that, by the way, he had put in place for several reasons. Obviously, border security, drugs, but another one was to bring companies back to the United States, and a lot of people forgot about that, right? That he said that repeatedly. But nowhere in the concessions that either side made from either Canada or Mexico or the United States, none of the concessions included bringing manufacturing back to the United States. So no, Donald Trump's tariffs are not going to bring jobs back. He doesn't even seem to care about bringing jobs back. So again, at a time when the New York Times is telling us that, hey, job growth is clearly slowing in this country, that's not good, Trump has no plan to fix it. His only plan right now is to add to the unemployment rate by getting rid of all these federal employees and all of the immigrants. So these numbers are going to get much worse, and they're going to get much worse very quickly. Furthermore, while this nincompoop is sitting there boasting about plastic straws, we were also getting reports. We got microplastics in the brain. We got a bad jobs report. What other bad news could Trump be distracting us from? How about the fact that the price of eggs, which has already risen by 35% over the last 12 months, is expected to rise another 20% this year? I'm sure if you're like me, you've probably seen the photos on social media and the videos, people walking into grocery stores and, showing the price of eggs, some places as high as, $14, $15 per dozen. And that's not going to get any better. If the price of eggs right now is due to the fact that we are having to basically cull entire flocks of chickens due to bird flu, which is, what we're being told, and I do believe that. I'm not just saying we're being told. I believe it. Don't get me wrong. But we've kind of gutted already. Trump has the government institutions that deal with things like that. The places that put out the guidelines. The places that warn people, hey, bird flu has been in your area. Please protect your flocks. We've gotten rid of the reporting. We've gotten rid of the monitoring. We've gotten rid of the funding. That's frozen at the moment. So the price of eggs is going to get worse. But there's another part of that too, because chickens don't just produce eggs, right? What else do they produce? Meat for consumption. So the price of chicken in general at the grocery store is also going up. Again, those reports were coming out last week showing that. Again, same time Donald Trump's out there telling us about plastic straws being the greatest thing since sliced bread, gasoline prices started to go back up. In spite of Trump telling us he's going to drill, and that's going to lower prices for you, gas prices are going up. They're going up in a non-travel part of the year. A lot of people miss that. A lot of people don't necessarily put two and two together. We typically see gas prices go up a little starting in November around Thanksgiving time, a lot of travel, going through December, lots of holidays, through the new year. We'll see a little bit of it during spring break, and we usually see it during summertime. Prices tend to start going down in September, but they do fluctuate throughout the year. I know. I was a blogger at Desmog Blog for many years where one of my main things was tracking the price of gasoline. So that's what happens. But for it to happen at the beginning of February, which is not a travel time of year, it is not a time when millions of Americans are going on vacation or traveling the country, that is not normal. And that's what I'm trying to tell you. Seeing gas prices increase at this time of year is a bad sign. On top of that, coffee prices, those are going through the roof. the price of many other consumer goods. We now have bird flu in cows that could drive up the cost of foods across the country. And of course, the mass deportations that are taking place are crippling some farms in this country already. So the price of every other food may go up very soon, very quickly. In other words, why the hell is the President of the United States focusing on plastic straws when consumers are continuing to get hammered, even though he promised us he was going to bring prices down? But, of course, a couple weeks after the election, he told us, well, you really can't do much about it. Now, can you? So here we are. A president of the United States that would rather focus on your straw not being mushy than on whether or not you can afford a straw in the first place.
Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine, and in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, the Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.